Hi, this is Magda from the Interiors Exteriors channel. In this episode, we will visit a terraced house with an area of 100 square meters where a family of 4 lives. We'll examine custom-built furniture and glimpse into the garden. Hi, welcome to our home. I'm Lukasz and I'm Ola. We have been living in a townhouse near Warsaw for over 2 years, together with our 2 children, almost 3-year-old Tosia and 6-year-old Tadzio. It was important to us that our place is full of warmth, color, natural textures and fabrics. Our children should feel comfortable and this house should be resistant to all kinds of dirt and damage. My name is Lukasz and my name is Ola. We have been living in a townhouse near Warsaw for over 2 years. This time, we're starting in front of the entrance, and notice that this is the last townhouse, so it's possible to walk along the side to the backyard garden. But we'll take a look there later, and now I invite you inside. In the hallway, there are not only the front door to the house and access to the other rooms, but also a door to the garage. It's very convenient, because when it's raining or in winter, when it's cold and snowy, you don't have to go outside. You can just walk in with dry feet. Here, on the other hand, is a little box for keys, and further on this side, we have built-in furniture. At the bottom, there are shelves for shoes and a seat, and at the top, there's a cabinet for things you use less often, and a shelf, for example, for hats. You can reach it comfortably. It's a really nice spot, a bit higher up, so kids can't reach it, but it's perfect for adults. In between, there are hooks, and behind them, notice there's a furniture board, so it's easier to clean the walls. Now we're leaving the hallway, and right here we have the stairs to the upper floor, then the bathroom, which was originally supposed to be just a toilet, but it was enlarged during the construction of the house. That's a big advantage of buying a house from a developer at this early stage. Next, under the stairs we have built-in storage, which we'll talk about in a moment because it's really well thought out. And finally, we enter the living room with the kitchen. Behind the largest door under the stairs, there's a pantry. You can see that it uses the full depth of this space. It's not like with a regular closet where there's still some unused space left behind it. There's really a lot of space here. And what's more, the shelves, look, they're cut from a single piece. These are U-shaped shelves. You also can't see any brackets underneath them, yet they're stable and seem really sturdy. So this built-in was made really well. There's also a light with a motion sensor at the top, so even though this nook is far from the window, we can still see everything clearly. Next we have pull-out shelves, and they also go the full depth. A lot of things fit in here, and they're easy to access. However, it wasn't easy to organize this kind of built-in furniture. The first carpenter didn't take on making something like this because he only used Blum slides, and at least at that time, Blum didn't offer ones that long. However, another company was definitely willing to look through various offers and found exactly the kind of slides that can support this weight and are deep enough. However, it wasn't the cheapest solution, and the slides were quite expensive. The entire understairs installation cost $15,000, and here at the end we don't have such an unusual solution anymore, just a space for the vacuum cleaner and various household items. The walls in the living room are a slightly different color than the walls and ceilings in the rest of the house. It's a white that gently leans towards pink, and yet it's a color chosen from the Tikurila white palette. It's amazing how many shades of white we can choose from, and it's really worth taking advantage of that, because these off-white tones often look much better in our homes and go better with furniture, which is rarely pure white and often has a hint of beige. With an off-white shade on the wall, everything just looks nicer together. The slats aren't made of solid wood, and over time they started to warp a bit, so reinforcements were added, and now all the slats are straight. The sofa was originally supposed to be purple, but it turned out that the chosen model wasn't available in that color. So in the end, we went with this unusual shade. You can see that it's kind of pink with a bit of gray, but it also looks different depending on the lighting. But it matched really nicely with the color of the walls and the curtains. Above the sofa, we have a projector and air conditioning. And look, the air conditioning looks definitely unusual. It's not just an ordinary plastic machine, but it has a nice panel that can come in different colors. It's interchangeable, so you can also change the appearance of the air conditioner over time. For example, you can choose a holiday one for December so that your home looks different. A screen is also useful for the projector. Here, mounting it on the wall directly opposite would be a bit too far, so it was hung in the middle, and now it's pulled down manually. But there are already cables in the ceiling to install an automatic pull-down screen in the future. This round table might look unassuming now, but it has extra leaves hidden underneath and can be extended to over 2 meters. So, if you're organizing a bigger family gathering, there's no problem fitting everyone in. And around the table, we have chairs that used to belong to my grandparents, and now they've been restored and repainted with Cason paint. 4 layers covered the dark color, and there's also wax on top to protect the paint, and of course, new upholstery. And now they look completely different compared to how they were before, honestly unrecognizable. The central point of the kitchen is of course the island, which has 2 fold-out countertops. They are very easy to unfold. You just pull out the support from both sides the same way, and you have much more workspace. Interestingly, I had a similar solution in my room as a teenager at my desk, but I always had too many things on my desk. And over time I realized that I could just have a large desk permanently because I almost never folded that extra countertop away. When there are small children at home, they often open cabinets, they can reach and take things out of them. If we want to avoid this, we install safety locks, and here in this kitchen they have also been installed, but you can't see them because they are magnetic solutions. See, now I can't open the cabinet, but when I hold it up I can. Inside you can adjust and turn off the lock, and now it works normally. When I turn it back on, the lock is active again and I can easily turn it off. And now that I've opened this cabinet, notice that there's no kidney-shaped shelf, no pull-out system, just regular shelves. Because a lot of cooking is done in this house and there are a lot of pots, the edge-to-edge solution simply gives us a chance to store more things than with those pull-out shelves, like the kidney-shaped ones. I mentioned to you before that lacquered fronts tend to chip, and that's also happening here. You can see, especially on the edges of the drawer, that in many places the color has simply come off. But honestly, I don't know how to check before buying whether our fronts will be very prone to chipping or not, because I expect that different manufacturers provide fronts of different quality. If you have any ideas about this, let me know in the comments. If we take a closer look, we can see that the countertops are a little bit frayed on the edges in some places. Here at the joint you can't really see it, but there definitely was such a situation, because over time, due to water, the countertop started to swell a little, and if you run your finger over it, you can feel a bump. Most likely, the countertops were simply cut with a saw that wasn't very sharp, and that's why we have this effect. And when it comes to laminated edges, both for countertops and for furniture in general, we have to be especially careful about moisture on these edges. I talked about a similar problem, only in the context of the bathroom, in the video about travel inspirations that I recorded for my supporters. The refrigerator is freestanding, and what makes it stand out is the freezer with drawers. Look, it's very convenient to access everything, and it opens easily. In my refrigerator, I have to open the front first, and only then are there drawers. Here, you have immediate access to everything. Hydrangeas, bruneras, columbines, heucheras, lavender, roses. Even though this is still a very young garden, it already looks beautiful. In the beds, there are vegetables and herbs that not only look beautiful, but are also useful in the kitchen. The irrigation system makes daily life easier and also saves the plants during longer summer trips. There are also insect houses and bird feeders here, because after all, the outdoors is primarily their home. In the downstairs bathroom, thanks to moving the wall, there was enough space for a spacious shower with sliding doors under which no track was installed. Here we have a floor that's easy to clean, there's no extra trim, and of course, some water might flow out under the door. But there's a slope here, so really, that's not a problem. Next, we have the faucet. It's a surface-mounted faucet, so there are additional elements at the joints. The downside is that it's simply harder to clean, and notice there's also a shelf, which is actually convenient because you don't have to install extra elements to put down soap or shampoo, and you don't have to bend down. However, again, such a flat surface easily collects water and more limescale remains. I know because I have one like that myself. For small bathrooms or toilets, we often choose really tiny sinks, and they don't always work well. Here, there's already an idea to replace it with a bigger one, because when we wash our hands, the water easily splashes to the sides. By the stairs, there's wallpaper with fine stripes, and it's quite demanding to put up, because even a slight misalignment of the pattern is very noticeable since it's so regular. And here it didn't work out the first time. The wallpaper had to be put up again. A custom-made bookshelf will be placed above the stairs. The shelves are for books, and at the bottom there are also cabinets with doors where you can hide things you don't want to keep out in the open. And in this way, the hallway leading to the bedroom, 2 children's rooms, and the bathroom also became a library. On this side, there are 2 children's rooms, and in the future, one will be for one child and the other for the second. But at this moment, while they are still small, they have a shared bedroom and a shared playroom. And pay attention to the doors, which have been slightly shifted. They are not aligned with this wall, but have been moved a bit deeper into the room so that the door could be more in this direction, farther from the corner of the room, and a wardrobe could be placed behind the door. Despite moving the door, the wardrobe doesn't have full depth. It's not a typical 60-centimeter one, it's shallower, and that's why it has this pull-out rod system, with clothes hanging one behind the other. Nevertheless, such a shallower wardrobe is definitely better than none at all. The playroom is the children's kingdom, and on a daily basis, it's not as tidy here as it is now. Nevertheless, this is not a problem, because apart from access to the closet, this area doesn't serve any other function. And at the moment when the children, for example, go to sleep, they go to the other room to calm down anyway, and here you just need to close the door and the problem is solved. In the corner of the room, there's a ball pit, and you can see there are only 4 colors here, which look great together. They're not as bright as in a playroom, and thanks to the fact that we can choose a set of colors that match our interior, such a ball pit can even be placed in the living room without ruining the decor of our home. In the children's bedroom, there's a reading corner, and of course, 2 beds that are extendable, so they can grow along with the children. Here, between the beds, there's a bookshelf that allows you to display beautiful covers, and it can also hold even the largest books. There's also A Year in the Forest and A Year in the Mountains. I really like this book series, and in our store you can find A Year at Home. Wallpaper from 2 rolls was put on the wall, and here, very subtly and barely noticeable, but still you can see a difference in the shade. Sometimes it happens that rolls from different batches differ a little in color, so it's worth paying attention to that when buying. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have noticed it myself, but when we're working on our own apartment, we pay attention to every detail, and then little things like this can bother us for years. The parents' bedroom is, of course, primarily a place for sleeping, but not only that. There's also a desk, so we have a place to work, and the bed itself has a lift-up frame, so there's plenty of storage space underneath. On the wall opposite the bed, outlets have been prepared for installing a television, but at the moment they are covered because there are no such plans, and that's why they were placed low here. People often put outlets in the middle of the wall, thinking the television will cover them. But if we don't decide to buy a television anytime soon, then we have very exposed outlets, which don't necessarily look nice. You could try to hide them with a picture, but that's always extra hassle, and outlets placed low don't stand out and look much more subtle. On this side of the room, there's a beautiful linen cabinet. It has an unusual color. It's actually a dark green, but it almost looks like graphite. It has beautiful gold handles, and it's a cabinet from IKEA, but it's not as obvious as the Billy or Kallax. Sometimes in chain stores there are these single, shorter furniture series that just look more original. No additional storage furniture is needed in the bedroom because there's a wardrobe right here by the entrance. The idea behind designing the wardrobe was simple. It should be symmetrical, so that each side is the same for her and for him, and the number of drawers in the middle is important, so they can be divided fairly. The bathroom upstairs is much more spacious than the one downstairs, so here we have both a shower and a bathtub, as well as various custom cabinets. Here above the toilet, here open shelves, and here a cabinet for the washing machine and dryer. And you often ask how to air out the washing machine after doing laundry when it's hidden in a cabinet. And it's not a problem at all. You just leave the washing machine open here, and then the front doesn't close. So the washing machine can air out, and since we have a lot of space here, it doesn't interfere with the walkway in any way. There's an interesting story connected to these tiles. They were chosen on the manufacturer's website, and then, imagine this, it turned out that the same manufacturer had prepared an almost identical series for one of the home improvement store chains. They differed slightly in size, maybe a little in shade, but overall they looked almost identical, and they were cheaper. Let me know which ones you would choose. The ones from the manufacturer's website, or the cheaper ones? A little different, but still cheaper. I'm curious about your opinions. And finally, I want to draw your attention to this faucet, which has two taps that are mounted separately and looks like it's made of brass, although it's actually not brass. Nevertheless, you have to admit that it looks really nice, and even though I'm not a fan of taps myself, I do appreciate this style. That's all for this episode. Now I'm waiting for your comments, and I warmly encourage you to subscribe to the channel and watch our other home tours. If you're looking for interior design inspiration, you're in the right place. And be sure to check out the offer in our store at wnetrzazewnetrzaofficial. And now I'm saying goodbye to you and see you next time. Bye bye.